Podcast.
Hello everyone and welcome to our Sunday special, the IPL weekend review with the Cricket Podcast. I am Jack Hope. I'm joined by Ross Legg in his kit, team kit. I like that, Ross. How you feeling?
I'm buzzed, mate. Opening game of the season, Rajasthan Royals. But let's be fair, absolutely pounded Sunrisers. So I couldn't be any happier. My most hated team gets pounded by the team I love the most. What more can I want?
It's a great Sunday. Great way to start the Sunday for you. And Max Rowe-brown with his carpet thing in his background. How are you doing, Max?
I'm very good. I had a net today.
Did you?
Went and had a net, indoor net. That was good fun. Did quite a lot of bowling because there weren't that many people at the nets, so I'm a bit achy. But it went all right.
Yeah. Are you? I mean, like it's the right time of the year, and we've lined up a sponsor that's related to this, so I'll pass to Ross in a second. But are you feeling confident about this year's cricket, Max?
I'm feeling hopeful that it goes better than last year because last year was a fucking disaster.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, you could come play for us. I don't like cricket club, and you'd enjoy it. Here's what we're going to do before I pass to Ross and the sponsor. We're going to give you the rundown of what we're going to be talking about. First of all, we're going to be doing Royal Challengers Bangalore v Mumbai Indians. Kohli, I don't know if anyone here has heard, was pretty good.
I was about to say, has anyone heard of Virat Kohli? Upcomer.
He's
been following him closely.
This young guy, Virat Kohli. Then we've got in the middle section of the show, we want to talk about Punjab Kings v Kolkata Knight Riders and Lucknow Super Giants v the Delhi Capitals. And then to round things off, Ross, save the best to last from your point of view, it'll be Sunrisers v Rajasthan. But before we get to all of that, and on the topic of cricket that is about to happen, it is sunny. It was 12 degrees today in London. The cricket season is so close, you can sniff it.
3 weeks away for us. 3 weeks, 20 seconds our first game, isn't it?
Tell us the news.
Well, we are happy to announce that our cricket equipment provider from last season, Serious Cricket, has come back to the loving embrace of the Cricket Podcast and is sponsoring us for the next 3 months. The link to their website for our UK listeners is in the podcast and YouTube notes. Use code TCP23 for 10% off all equipment. We've used their stuff for, the last 5 years, I think it is now.
Yep.
Always a great service, always great gear. Why don't you treat yourself to some new spikes or finally get those second pair of batting gloves because you're so bloody big time. That is code TCP23 for 10% off all equipment at Serious Cricket. And that is for our UK listeners.
As I said, it is 12 degrees in London, so it's definitely 2 pairs of gloves territory. You're going to be sweating through them really quickly.
No, you need the thermal gloves, the inner thermal gloves.
That's it. Yeah, you need the inners to keep your hands from freezing when you're batting. Of course. Right, Royal Challengers v Mumbai Indians. This is the Bangalore, but what are you going to do? Do we need to do a summary here, or can we assume that everybody knows the story?
I've got a quick one.
Okay, there we
Won't
go.
be long. Mumbai Indians' strength was supposedly their batting, so they were 48 for 4 after 8 overs. That's not a good sign. But luckily for them, a combination of some average spin bowling, outstanding hitting from Tilak Varma, and Siraj being stuck in a wide-induced time loop dragged them up to a reasonable score of 170. It was reasonable. And then you look at their bowling attack, which was met with all the disdain of a first 11 captain who'd rocked up to a Sunday friendly, deciding that he was going to teach those under 14s a lesson that they deserved about adult cricket, and absolutely tore them to shreds. Ruthless RCB, and very impressive.
They were like, there's a few things that we didn't see, like the whole of the rest of their batting order, them playing against a competent opposition. But I think let's do the positives first. You've got to say that's a 5-star performance from Royal Challengers Bangalore, haven't you, Ross?
Yeah, I think any time that you go like Mumbai, there's pedigree there, right? We obviously, our Patreons predicted they'll finish 9th, and we'll be lucky not to get the wooden spoon. But today, you realise if you go into a game where Piyush Chawla is your second best bowler, like you're in trouble, right? That is unfortunately just a fact. And you saw as much today. You also saw the pieces of we said on the preview show that the potential flops of this season are Rohit Sharma, Cameron Green. Max, you and I think both big ticks in the box today.
Yeah, big time.
Rohit Sharma's innings today was it was a shocker, wasn't it?
Can I just say that might have been the most cricket podcast response to a question ever. I said, let's talk about the positives here. RCB 5-star performance, and you were like, no, we're going to talk about the bad things that happened. I want to talk about what Mumbai did wrong. So, okay, no, good start. Max, same question to you. RCB, I'm going to downgrade them to a 4-star performance because they did somehow let Mumbai get 170 runs.
Yeah,
but it was a really good performance, wasn't it? Can we have some love for RCB?
Yeah, we can. They were very unlucky that Reece Topley got injured because he started well. I mean, they got a plan, haven't they, with the ball? That was with everything up top. I mean, I think I was slightly surprised that they held the spinners back so long, because normally they've got that sort of approach of getting a few up early, haven't they, and then bring them back. So that was where I think you're right to downgrade it from a 5 to a 4, where they sort of let things go in the middle. But aside from that, they were exemplary. And I think in particular how, having let Mumbai get up to 170, the way that Virat and Faf just attacked it, which is different to how, we've kind of, we've had maybe been a bit harsh on them in the past for them getting off to slightly slow starts and possibly taking a bit too long. But I mean, they 100% did not do that today, did they? They really put their foot down and stamped their authority on the game. And that was what was most impressive for me. Turning it around from having been like, oh, maybe Mumbai have got something to bowl at here. Within 5 overs, it was like, nah, this is done.
Yeah,
I mean, done fast.
Absolutely. And I think if you're looking at strengths and weaknesses that we talked about from RCB before the tournament, we definitely spoke about how they could be a bit one-paced with the bat. Certainly, after one game, and maybe this is just the game for Faf and Kohli. That can happen, can't it? Like, you can. There's definitely a player later in the show, Kyle Mayers, who we're going to talk about, who might have just had a game, and maybe it's the same. Maybe it's the same for Kohli and Faf. But if you were saying that was a weakness before the tournament, you have to say after one game that does not look like it's going to be a major weakness. Like Kohli and Faf really went after it. Kohli especially a little slower than Faf off the mark, but once he got going, he was absolutely smoking it. Ross, redeem yourself here. Tell us why you love Virat Kohli.
It was a classic Kohli innings, wasn't it? Like we get told quite a lot that when he's playing T20 cricket, like he'll be 30 from 30. And then all of a sudden he'll go up and he'll start striking at 200, start striking at 250. And this was one of the times it did come off, which is great to see. We talked before around the South Africa 20, and Faf was showing more intent up the top of the order. And how was he going to actually continue to evolve as a T20 player? He's what? Late 30s.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, captain here and led from the front. Like 170 is not a complete doddle in the park, right? I think RCB did let themselves down a little bit with the ball a couple of times to give away that many runs. But actually, yeah, Kohli and Faf, they're the elder statesmen at the top of the order. What I also liked was the fact that they promoted Dinesh Karthik. Like they didn't need to do that. They've got Glenn Maxwell sitting on the bench, but they were more concerned than I think we've seen before around net run rate and that kind of stuff, right? Of going, we need to kill this game. We need to kill this game as quickly as we can. Mumbai are there for the taking, and RCB winning with 22 balls left. That's a statement win.
Didn't even need a sub.
Did they not even do the sub? That's
No.
the way to do it, isn't it? Just be like, yeah, we're not going to do that. Max, there are a few other weaknesses that people said could come back to bite RCB. Maxwell returning from a broken leg was one, and a 5th/6th bowling option was another. Right, it's a difficult question to answer maybe here because Hasaranga didn't play and Hazelwood didn't play and Topley's now injured, so there's a few things in the mix.
Apparently, Topley's all right. Apparently,
Okay.
so,
I heard
so apparently Topley has got one of those shoulders where he can dislocate it as easily as he puts it back in. So apparently that's what's happened, and word on the street is he's going to be all right for the next game.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Max, anyway, on those points, 5th, 6th bowler and Maxwell's broken leg, did you see any indications that means we can chalk off another couple of weaknesses from RCB? I think we've said batting looks okay.
Batting looks okay. I think possibly with the bowling, I mean, it was fine today. They got 7 overs out of Khan Sharma, Michael Bracewell and Glenn Maxwell. And it wasn't the end of the world, although it did end up with Tilak Varma taking a bit of a liking, and Khan Sharma was perhaps the beneficiary of the young debutant Nel Wadera getting a little overexcited about how far he just hit the ball, which was understandable because he hit the ball really far, but then tried to do it again to a ball that was too full and ended up just clipping it to a man on the boundary. So I think there's a weakness that teams will look at that they can target. That they're the bowlers that you can go after and try and catch up. So I do think that is a possibility. But the batting side will be interesting to see what happens when maybe they lose a couple of early wickets, because I mean you're looking at what they had to come in. Michael Bracewell. Yeah, not seeing him in the IPL. I quite like Michael Bracewell.
Did he get 100? I think he's 40 balls.
Yeah, I think he could be good. I think it could be good fun in the IPL, but we've not seen him before. I think Shahbaz Ahmed was going to come in, but obviously, I think he would have been the sub, but obviously he wasn't needed. And then you're looking at Harshal Patel, and it's kind of loses ground quite quickly. Obviously, you'd maybe have Hasaranga in there normally, which would help things out. So that's probably going to cover both of those bases in one go. But for now, there would possibly be where you might look at getting a bit of joy out of the RCB side.
Yeah, I think if they keep using Harshal at the death as well, I really think he's an excellent middle overs bowler, and I really think he's a bad death bowler. But there's not, because he has variations. People are like, well, that must be what he does. So I think a similar bowler, Pretorius, when he comes back or if he plays for CSK, people are like, oh, he'll be great at the death. So there is no evidence that is true, and there is not really much evidence that Harshal's any good at the death. Like they're both 10+ economy rates there. So bowl him in the middle. Is what
But who do they then bowl at the death? I suppose would be
anyone else. Topley, put his shoulder back in, get him out there. Right, Mumbai, Ross, you wanted to talk about, I mean, obviously you're gagging to talk about how
dive in, 2-footed,
how bad this team are. I've got on my notes here just a rank franchise. Rank. I'll go into a little bit more detail. Yeah, well, no, look, I'll get there in a minute, but like, they are doing everything in their power to prove that 2019, 2020 was a fluke. That it just accidentally came together, and the people who run this team don't really know what they're doing. Strengths, they have got some batting, and even when things get the wheels come off, they still manage to get 170. Chinnaswamy, you've got to say that's probably 15 runs short, maybe 20 runs short of a really good score. But they did get back in the game. I can't really think of anything else that they did well.
It left a lot to be desired, didn't it? I mean, Tilak Varma, as you said, Max, was the shining light in this. He looked.
I think he won player of the match.
Yeah, he was. It was mustard. He was, but again, it's like the cheerleader effect. Like genuinely, like what was happening here. And again, the Ishan Kishan piece. I'm a fan of Ishan Kishan. I like the mullet. I like the earring. I like the rock star kind of thing that he's going for. He leaves a lot to be desired now since his kind of opening season. And is there a piece here going, is he really the best option for them opening up? Is Rohit Sharma the best option for their opening up? Like we talked about Cameron Green going, well, look, just open him. Literally just give him what he needs, and then put Rohit in the middle order, put Kishan in the middle order, and just try something a little bit different. Here, it just felt all a little bit samey. We are talking about, and this is going to be a theme throughout the show. It is the first game of the season. Mm-hmm. Like knee-jerk reactions are kind of, I mean, they're very welcome, but they're not always true to the word, right? But here, it just felt a little bit, I don't know, pedestrian is probably what I think is probably where I was sitting. Like you've got people that you can put under pressure in this bowling lineup. Like Siraj, we know he's struggled in T20 cricket, and yet he's coming away today. Looking at what 5 and over he went at. Like he bowled, but he's bowling almost
very good up front.
And this is about. I think I liked what RCB were doing. I liked that they had something a little bit different. But again, are you really telling me that Khan Sharma is walking away with 2 wickets in a game against Mumbai Indians? I wouldn't believe that if that was happening 2 years ago. And now look what's there. Tim David, how they're using him. Again, if they're not bowling Tim David, he's not the best bowler, is he? Let's be fair. But there's just some bits here where it just doesn't make much sense.
Yeah, I don't know who Nihal Wadhera is. He wasn't a player that I expected to see on the team.
Mate, don't start taking the piss out of him. He's their 3rd best player today.
On Cricket Info, he has 5 first-class appearances.
Has he played any T20s? He's got 1 T20 now.
Yeah,
today.
He probably has played them, but I don't have any information
regardless
about them.
Regardless of how it ended up, you don't send him in over Tim David. Like, you just there is not a circumstance where you're like, oh yes, this is what we're going to do. There's a lot wrong with this team. I think I found one other thing that they did well. Sky batting at 4. I don't mind that. Okay. It didn't work out that well, and for some reason they substituted off a really excellent fielder after he'd batted.
Maybe he's injured.
Maybe, but yeah, I like just looking through it. The Cam Green pick looks even stupider now when you've actually seen the team, and you're like, "What?
Don't play him as Mitch Marsh. Like it's not like that's the bit. Don't be just like, oh, Mitch Marsh has scored runs twice for Delhi Capitals. We're going to follow that blueprint. That's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even so much that. It's just like, why did you prioritise Cameron Green over like a domestic seam bowler or a domestic spinner, or like really any of the other problems that you had? Like why? I think the only reason you would do that is if you were extremely rich, which the owner of this team is, and you haven't got anybody that will tell you the truth, and it's just some vanity project. And that's what I'm starting to think with Mumbai Indians. That maybe 4 years ago, maybe people like Jai Wardner had a little bit more control over what they actually did from a cricket point of view, and now that is less and less the case. And it's just like, oh yeah, Akash Ambani's going to sit at the table, and I want Cam Green because he did some runs against India and he can bowl a bit, and he's tall and he is quite good looking. He would look good in my kit. So I'm gonna pick him. I'm not gonna get, I don't want to buy Chetan Sakaria. I know, or Shivam Mavi, somebody who actually will be a dependable 4 overs domestic pacer that can fill up the glaring hole in my team. Albeit maybe not amazing in the case of Mavi, but at least you're getting 4 overs. I'm gonna go for the vanity project. I'm gonna go for the vanity pick. I'm gonna bring this guy in, and on the bench I'm gonna have Baby AB and like I don't know, and Tristan Stubbs. Like it just doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. Then I think there's some like big tactical problems with this side as well. I mean, I've not even talked about Berendorf. Someone else can do that. Someone else can do Berendorf. But I want to talk about the bowling. Mumbai get 170. As we said, I think that's 20 light at Chinnaswamy. I don't think that's a great score. I think you're a run and over short of where you need to be. You have one bowler who can maybe get you back in the game. Like one guy. His name is Jofra Archer. He is exceptional with the new ball, and he's exceptional at the death. Like in this game, how do you use him? Like in any game, how do you use a guy who's amazing with the new ball?
Middle over enforcer, mate. That's where he should be bowling.
Well, this is what I genuinely don't understand what the logic was. They opened the bowling with Berendorf, and then they threw it to I can't even remember the name.
Arshad Khan.
Yeah, who immediately bowled 3 wides down the leg side. Like his first 3 balls was like, oh, this guy literally can't land the ball where he's intending to land the ball. Third over, what do? Do they then go to Jofra Archer? No, I'll have another one of Berendorf. Let's see how that goes.
But to be fair,
feed him into the blender, and then they finally went to Jofra Archer. 18 balls into the innings. Now that doesn't sound like a lot. 4th over of the innings, it doesn't sound like much. But in T20 cricket, 15% of the game of your overs have been wasted before the best bowler on your team has the ball in his hand. That's thick. That's really stupid. Like it's
been any shine has been well and truly bashed off of it.
Well, yeah, because they bowled 9 balls because the guy couldn't fucking land it in the right place. I'm not saying Archer bowled really well, but you have to give yourself the best chance in these situations. Like the T20 it's a game of really fine margins, and you've given a fine margin, maybe a couple of fine margins to Mumbai there. I thought that was really bad. I think the captain's bust basically.
It was awful. It was just Yeah, if you've got a limited amount of tools, you need to be able to do something a bit special with it. Today, it was just like, let's see what fucking happens. Not good enough from Mumbai. And if I was a Mumbai fan, I'm worried, very, very worried about how this season is going to go if that's how they're thinking. This is what they've prepared for as well, right? This is not like 3 games in where they've had a couple of injuries and things have gone wrong. They have had months to prepare for this game.
Yeah.
And this was the best that they could do. This was a bit. They chose to bat Cameron Green there. They chose him to bat only bowl 2 overs. They didn't bowl Tim David. They've sent Tim David in after this absolute nobody. And Jason Behrendorff. Just because people on Twitter think that Jason Behrendorff is the answer doesn't mean that's how you should pick your fucking team. It's mad. Anyway, over Mumbai. Right. Sorry, but
I think that's a nice place to leave it.
Yeah, I think RCB 4 out of 5. Good performance. I think Mumbai, they get the other one.
Mumbai gets 0 out of 5 and Tilak Varma gets 1 out of 5.
Okay. Yeah. I think that's he redeems himself. Well done, Tilak. We're going to hit the button for a break because that's what we need to do for the podcast advertising, which is a bit weird if you're watching on YouTube. Do click like and do click subscribe because that tells the internet that we're good. And that's what this whole endeavour is about. It's informing Google that we're good. So be back in 2 seconds with some more cricket.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, amigos, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast for part 2, where we are going to be covering 2 matches: the Lucknow Super Giants v the Delhi Capitals, and the Punjab Kings v Kolkata Knight Riders. We'll decide which order we do them in a moment, but first, Max is on ball shavers. Manscaped. I mean, we always call them ball shavers, but actually, I mean, that is what they are. It's a utilitarian description of a good product. Manscaped.com, Manscaped, Lawnmower 4.0. Talk to me, Max.
Yeah, but the thing is, Jack, Manscaped, they're not just ball shavers, are they? They're more than that. They're Weed Whacker 2.0, the new upgraded facial hair trimmer, because no one likes nose hair, do they? And there's more, the whole package, the performance package, the platinum package. The Weed Whacker is in that, as is the lawnmower. You get boxers, you get ball deodorant, you get ball toner, you get everything you could possibly need to completely shape and groom your personal area, whatever way you want to put it. But
gentleman's sausage would be better.
Gentleman's sausage, gentleman's relish. No, not that. Anyway, the important thing that you need to know is that if you go to manscaped.com and use the code CricketPod, you get 20% off and free shipping. So you should go and do that and take it from me. It's all good stuff.
Top product, manscaped.com. Use the code TC the CricketPod. Sorry. Can we just take a moment to recognise how fucking big time we are? Two sponsors on a network. Literally, this is all down to the people who are watching us right now. One of them came to us
as well.
Yeah. It is. I mean, this is true. I just want to say this. I meant to say it at the top of the show. I'll say it on the next episode as well. So it's going to get boring. Our most listened to ever podcast was the IPL preview.
That
most
is
listened
amazing.
to ever. We didn't do that. I didn't sit there at home, listen to that over and over again. That's the people out there. Thank you very much. Right, Max.
Well, not much anyway.
Lucknow v Delhi or the Kings v the Knight Riders. Which game?
Let's go Lucknow because Ross is summarising that one.
Okay. All right. Do you want to summarise it? There's not that much to talk about. There's a couple of really good things and some other stuff. But yeah, what happened? I can't remember yesterday.
Well, Kyle Mayers decided to have the performance of his life. After being dropped by Khalil Ahmed, it meant that they didn't miss Quinton de Kock, who is busy playing against the Netherlands. Their other batters just about got the memo. Puran, decent debut, I thought, actually, for him. Bad Dhoni showed that he was actually good Dhoni again, and propelled them up to what, like 193. That's a solid total. You're going to go away from that feeling very happy. Then came the fire, the brimstone, the storm, the rocket. Is Mark Wood, who was a one-man kind of exhilarating bowling machine. 4 overs, 5 wickets, 14 runs. He was a cut above the rest, and David Warner's Delhi Capitals captaincy debut was not what he wanted. Lucknow were like clearly the better team in this, like the whole way through. Even rubbing salt in the wound by bringing on Krishnappa Gautam, smashed a 6 and bowled his full 4. Like, where did that come from? No one could have seen that.
As well.
No one could have seen that. And yeah, like it was an insane performance. And Lucknow with a big early win over what some people was tipped for being this year's IPL champions.
There's a few things. There's a few talking points in here. I think first is maybe one of the there was, I don't know if it was an innovative, but the best use of the super sub yet with Gautam, and we should talk about that.
That's the only interesting use so far.
Yeah, Mark Wood was incredible, and we'll definitely talk about that. But Kyle Mayers, he deserves his moment in the sun. Like, I don't really understand him as a T20 player. I'm still not sure I really understand him as a T20 player. There's nothing that suggests that this was going to happen. At one point, he was on 17 off 18 balls, I think. So, no, basically, he got 56 runs off his last 20 rocks. That's mad.
Yeah.
Kyle Mayers. He was slog sweeping, pinging people all over the place. He went from unable to hit the ball, like him and King Legend. It was so bad. Like the power play, I can't remember what they finished on. I think it was 30 off 6 overs. 30 for 1 off 6 overs. King Legend 8 off 12, classic. Kyle Mayers 17 off 18. Then he spooned, and this, Max, you haven't seen this, and it was because it wasn't on the highlights. You were playing football. It was the worst drop of the tournament. There is no doubt about that. It will be the worst drop, and maybe the most impactful drop in terms of what it cost the team as well. Because he goes from that, he blasts off. Kyle Mayers, Ross. I mean, I could give it to you, Max, but as discussed, you didn't see it. He deserves some credit.
Yeah, and I think like, it's a little bit weird that we thought around that he was picked up anyway, and it was like it's just in the team, and I think he did a cracking job. Like he's been given a renewed sense of confidence opening the batting for West Indies, and they obviously just come off the back of a good T20 series win against South Africa, and he just turned up here, being just like, you know what, I'm going to chance my arm. And yeah, as we know, West Indian batters, they're bloody good at hitting sixes, and he hit 7 of them. So very well done to him. And
he also took the spinners to the cleans as well, didn't he? Which I had no idea he was capable of doing at all.
It was also this. What I found interesting about their lineup is obviously they are all-rounder wicketkeeper central Lucknow, and just how they then structure their team kind of after that. Like KL Rahul, obviously always going to open the batting. He's always going to try and hit kind of at 66 strike rate. That's fine. But when it comes to people like Huda, like Krunal Pandya, does Krunal Pandya really need to be batting at 4 in this lineup? I don't think he does, right? I know they're trying to say that Stoinis and Puran are kind of like their finishers in this, but again, it didn't make much sense to me. Some of that, like, they still come away in a really nice position, but I think first game of the season they're still working some bits out. Puran, I thought again he looked good. Like Puran actually like came out and did what Puran should be doing in that kind of scenario, which we haven't always seen from him. And I'm excited about this Lucknow team. Like it's an experiment that could go horrendously wrong, but today it went really quite well.
I kind of agree with that. We'll get to Wood in a second, but I do think that's you've made some good points there, Ross. I think we really saw all of the strengths of this team projected in this match. I can't get over Mayers. I cannot get over it. Like he averages 21 in T20s. He strikes at like 130. This isn't when he's 18 off 18, finishing on 75 or like 35 or whatever it was, or 40. That shouldn't be in his locker like that. Just so you can go into a little bit more detail here. Middle overs, Kyle Mayers strikes at 116 and averages 16. Like, so he'd actually burned through the bit of the game where he's kind of like semi-competent, got to the bit where he's awful, and then and then launched. Unbelievable.
The IPL, man, it's his domain. That's where he needed to be.
Good for him. Yeah, well done.
I'm less. I mean, obviously, it was the dominant performance, but I'm questioning whether it's a repeatable thing that LSG have built, or whether it was just kind of some things came together, like you say. One being Kyle Mayers doing something that you don't normally expect, aided, of course, by Khalil Ahmed. The final over in their innings went for all the runs. One of those sixes coming from Krishnappa Gautam being subbed in and then immediately hitting the ball for six. That's not happening again this IPL. And then Mark Wood bowled too fast for everyone. That might happen again.
If Krishnappa Gautam becomes the designated hitter for
when there's one
IPL,
ball left in the innings,
like, I mean, it was the millionaire maker, wasn't he? Right before, but it was brilliant. Like, coming in, well done him.
And we thought he would be the loser from the impact sub rule. How wrong we were.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, but it was interesting as well. I mean, I didn't know you could do this because obviously I hadn't read the rules properly. But you can sub out a batter who has been out for another batter.
I thought you knew that.
Yeah, well, it just means that one of your normal team then can't bat.
Yeah. So like, but I mean, I thought the logical thing would be like, once you're out, like if the substitute happens, you are. But I guess on the bowling side,
it has to be a live player. But no.
No, but you can do that. It doesn't. In the end, it doesn't really make any difference.
It's the Gautam clause.
They were going to do it anyway, but yeah, it was interesting, and he had a day out. Everything went right for Lucknow, I think. After the power play, where they were abysmal and Delhi were really good, everything went right. Warner couldn't hit the ball off the square. Used up 60 balls going nowhere. Like a bunch of stuff. I do want to talk about Mark Wood.
I think you'll find that David Warner's 50 was a sign of how dominant he's been in the IPL throughout his career, and he's a storied player. I think that was roughly the words was used.
I do want to shout out Mark Wood. I don't know. We obviously want to try and wrap this up in an hour if we can. But best figures by an English bowler in the IPL. Was it 5 for 15 or 5 for 14?
5 for 14.
5 for 14.
He bowled.
Do you know who the previous holder of that record was?
Dimitri Mascarenhas.
I mean that's amazing, isn't it?
Was it actually?
Yeah,
it
was.
Unbelievable.
It's like 5 for 27 or something.
Was that for Shane Warne's Rajasthan Royals back in 2008?
No, it was when he played for Punjab Kings, or Kings 11 Punjab as they were called then.
Fair. He wasn't too bad, Mascarenhas. I think he was like the English Stoinis in some ways.
Yeah.
People Stoinis fans will not believe that, but I reckon if you looked at their figures side by side, they're probably pretty close.
You never know.
We'll talk about a couple of those Wood deliveries.
That ball to Sarfraz was fierce. And
he wasn't even bowling him.
He wasn't even bowling like as quick as he can. He was in like the high 140s, not the mid 150s. Like that, but that ball to Sarfraz, short, and Sarfraz. Actually, I thought initially like he'd just been bounced out, but Sarfraz is like, I'm gonna steer this over the slips. Like I'm in control of this, and it was just too quick. Too straight, followed him too much.
Carried on going at his head.
And he ended up off the face of the bat, somehow hitting it to fine leg. An unbelievable ball. And like the two bowls as well, Prithvi Shaw.
It wasn't far off being an unbelievable shot as well.
Yeah. But
that's cricket baby though.
Mitch Marsh. Mitch Marsh first ball.
Go. See you later. No, you can't play that. You just can't play that delivery.
It was like someone said to Mitch Marsh, practice your straight drive. And then, like, spliced in this ball in between it. I mean, he was nowhere near it. It's so good. Anyone else want to praise Wood?
No, what I wanted to do was talk about Sarfraz Khan's wicket keeping. because
Okay,
he
we'll
looked.
go there.
Just him in general. Sarfraz Khan should have the opportunity to play more this season, right? Sarfraz Khan is in an unbelievable year in Indian domestic game. Here, like you can't blame him for getting out to that delivery from Wood, but you can blame him for his wicket keeping. But we can move on from that.
He took 2 catches. What do you want?
Well, him to not follow the ball as if we've given Bikram in our team the gloves.
That's a
anyway.
very niche reference, isn't it? That's going to appeal to about 5
I
people.
barely get that.
Yeah.
That's what we're all about here.
Can we some Wood? I mean, you won't see better fast bowling than that. I think. Period. In any format ever. Like it was just so quick, so straight.
And batters shitting themselves going out to bat is what you want to see, right? That is the hostility of what you want.
Pretty sure it was pointed out on the comms. Probably the only good bit of commentary I saw all weekend. Actually, his back leg genuinely went to square leg. Like he was just like, nah, not
running
interested.
away.
Yeah, this is rapido. Delhi. I just want to touch on them quickly. I think they're a very good case of first game shit went wrong. Probably still a good team. They actually started quite well. If they'd taken that catch, and I think there's a huge swing in that moment. I think if they'd taken that catch, then they might actually have won the game. I think it could come down to that.
It would have been a hell of a lot closer.
I wouldn't be too upset if I was Delhi. I think is what I'm saying. Obviously, you want to win, but like,
yeah. Also, they've got a couple of South Africans to come back. That'll help.
I think Ponting was interviewed mid-game and said that a couple of the players who actually were in the team arrived the day before as well. I'm pretty sure Mitch Marsh had basically just got off a plane, which maybe explains why he played the shot 7 days late to Wood.
Bit of jet lag.
Shadow batting in your hotel room just doesn't quite do it for you, does it?
And Rothman Powell, who's out again to what's his name, Bishnoi. I think he's been out 5 times for 18 runs to Bishnoi. Anyway, look, I think this game. Can we put this game in the books? I've got all my stats out for them now, and we are, as I said, on the clock. Punjab v Kolkata Knight Riders. Who's summarising that, or are we not?
That's me.
Okay.
So I don't know did you know, gents? There's a new travelling all-you-can-eat buffet open, and it opened in Punjab this weekend, serving a multitude of cuisines from around the world, but specialising in pies. And perhaps Imran Singh got wind of the opening day deals and decided that he was going to tuck in nice and early. He was particularly partial to the New Zealand pie, but ate too much too quickly, gave himself indigestion and tickled one down the leg side. The other unusually popular pie was the Trinidadian pie, and the Kings players tucked into that as well. But after a while, it became clear to the Kolkata management that the clientele were only here to get their money's worth, not for proper munching. And they quickly changed policy to not serving pies, and that sorted things out a little bit. But anyway, Punjab scored 191 is what happened. In reply, the most expensive player in IPL history lived up to the title by being very expensive. But ultimately, KKR fell into a heap thanks to Arshdeep, and they were 80 for 5. But as prophesied, Andre Russell turned up and, along with some rain, which we'll get to later, threatened to make a game of it. But 2 very timely wickets that preceded the downpour allowed the Punjab Kings to sneak away with probably a deserved win, but one that they almost Punjab Kingsed.
Yeah, a few things.
Nicely done, Max.
Yeah, it was good. A few things from this game. Punjab, I think, come out of this with a fair amount of credit. They weren't cutthroat, and I think this was a little bit of a problem for them last year as well. They could have maybe got 210, and instead they ended up 191. It's still a really good score. I think it was still 12 more than the average first innings winning score at Mohali. So you're taking that. If someone says, "Do you want 12 more than average to win?" you say yes.
Against KKR.
But it kind of felt a bit weird. But yeah, I think there's the KKR factor as well. I mean, did they look good because of KKR, or did they look good because they're actually good? Ross?
I thought it was one of those bits where, you talked about the commentary earlier, and the commentary was, let's be fair, dreadful the whole weekend. All they kept on doing,
maybe it's time to subscribe to DAZN.
All they kept on doing was saying that Nitish Rana was doing good captaincy, and then Shikhar Dhawan was doing good captaincy. I was watching the game. I could not believe why they were saying it. Swami, who's on our Discord channel, said that Nitish Rana was more like a traffic cop trying to direct traffic as he was changing the field every 2 minutes. But it was that bit for me. Like, I didn't understand some of the decisions that both captains were making. And when you talk about the kind of the lack of ruthlessness from Punjab Kings, I saw that in some of their bowling decisions. Like there was a bit where they could Kolkata could not hit the ball off the square to the Pacers, and then he was just like, "We are going to bowl Sikandar Raza until he takes a wicket," and he gets a fluky wicket. It's not a wicket where he's just like, "I've actually outdone this batsman here." Like, it was just that bit. I was just like, it leaves a lot to be desired sometimes, and we know that. So just a good captain is one that just does the logical thing and kind of makes the right decisions. Here, both teams, I think, let themselves down a little bit in that space. And if it wasn't for the rain, like as much as the game looks like it's in the bag for Punjab, like there is a bit here where they left the door open too long.
100%. I think someone's asked this in the chat, and I think that DLS have made the right call here. I think DLS needs to be recalculated, bearing in mind the impact subs, because what were KKR 7 down? In a way, that's a bit like being 6 down under the old rules, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, and it's you've still got.
They were 7
players
down, and they had Tim Southee coming in at 10.
Yeah,
and he can hit the ball.
So I think they were a bit unlucky there. I think it was the right decision, but I would say if that game plays out, KKR win it 3 or 4 out of 10. Like it's they really had a good chance there.
Especially with the Lord at the crease, mate. The Lord could do no wrong. Came out first ball off his hips, 6 runs. Thank you very much.
I do think from Punjab's point of view, though, their best player was not available, Livingston. I still don't really know if he's going to come back or what's going on there, but yeah, he is better than Rajapaksa. They're lucky. Rajapaksa cashes in, gets a load of runs, then he gets to sit on the bench.
Did off Narayan as well. What was that all about?
Well, I mean,
can't play spin.
So that they get away with one there, and then obviously they don't have Rabada as well, who's an upgrade on somebody in their 11. It doesn't really matter who, but he will play. I think this is a nice win for them to take, albeit at home. The other thing that I thought, and just on the rain point, we haven't got loads of time maybe to go into it in detail, but I think it's 4 out of 5 home wins. We talked about how home bias might be a factor. It looks like it's going to be that way, but I do think in at least 2 of the games there have been massive slices of luck in favour of the side at home, and definitely in 2 of the games, Mumbai and KKR's games, who
they would have lost that anyway.
who we think are the worst teams in the tournament were playing away. So there's there's a little bit to factor in there. Anything else from this match before we smash the break button? And
can I take a dig at the India selection?
Yeah, if you want,
guys.
Always.
Arshdeep Singh is absolutely mustard. Like, there is no bit around that. Literally, watching him bowling is 1, exciting. 2, he has got everything in the locker, right? He's got a brilliant Yorker. His bouncer is horrible to face by the looks of things, and he can put it on a sixpence. He's also got cold celebrations, which I like. He's gone from the airplane celebration when he got out his mate Mandeep Singh, and then literally just stood and just stared at the second guy who got out. I think it was Nitish Rana who got out second, and I was just like, this guy is he's blockbuster. Anakul Roy, sorry, who got out. I don't know why India selectors got to worry about picking him. Like, he is like brilliant, absolutely brilliant, and he is going to be essential to Punjab Kings this season.
Final call on this then. Pre-tournament predictions, we had KKR near the bottom. We still think that's probably the case. One game caveat, but
I mean, halfway through that game, we were all like on the Discord going, "Wow, they're bad."
Punjab, are they better than we thought, or do we need more evidence?
I think they were against a team that weren't very good. Still threatens to kind of mess it up, but it looks like their batting had more about it than I thought it would do. I think that's what that was my obviously we look at their bowling attack, and when it's at full strength, it's going to be good. The batting is where they possibly fall down. There were signs there that perhaps their batting has got a bit more about it, and that they could make a good run at the playoffs. But like we said, the jury is out because it was against KKR, so we will see. But yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
Right.
I just worry there's a lack of leaders in that Punjab Kings lineup to get them all the way.
Right, we're going to click break now. If you're watching on YouTube if you're watching on YouTube live, basically, this is the perfect opportunity for you to click subscribe, to click like, to leave a comment, to shout to your mum. Tune into the Cricket Podcast right now. They're about to talk about Rajasthan Royals v Sunrisers Hyderabad. And we should mention Alexander Hind with the super chat. How super shocking was the commentary this weekend? So bad. So unbelievably bad. Like, it's beyond belief.
You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Cricket Podcast for our IPL Weekend Edition. We probably need to name the shows, don't we? I keep calling it the Weekend Show or the Weekend Edition. We need like a theme. Christmas. All the weekend shows will be Christmas themed from now on.
I wish it could be Christmas every weekend.
Right. Here's the thing. If you are watching, listening, whatever, reading the transcript, you need to head to patreon.com/thecricketpod and you need to become a Patreon. Because it's a lot of fun. You get to hang out with us all day on Discord. You get bonus shows. You get bonus content. It's just like all round good. And it keeps the show in business, which is good for us. So patreon.com/thecricketpod. Look in the show notes right now and click it.
I'll tell you what, Jack. Why don't we say thank you to Vimuri, Vivek, Dan and Jay, and Mike for joining in the last couple of days. Very welcome.
It's a global cricket community as well, isn't it? I didn't realise this when we started the show, that actually 20% of our audience is in the US and Canada. Obviously, I didn't realise that when we started the show because we didn't have an audience, but I didn't imagine that's how it would go. But it is. So maybe you're in Panama and you're thinking there'll be no one in my time zone to hang out with. Not true.
Yeah,
get involved.
It's pretty much 24/7.
It is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good.
Anyway, I'm going to talk about my boys.
Yeah, go on.
I'm going to talk about my boys. I mean, they're all the gear. Rajasthan Royals walloped Sunrisers. It wasn't even fair. This looked like an adult team playing against a kids team. The Royals had the experience. They had a settled lineup, clear role definition. They added quality to their lineup from last year in Jason Holder. Jaiswal had another year experience underneath his belt and was great to watch. Joss Buttler, I think we forget sometimes just how much of an alien that bloke is. He is insanely talented. The fact that they were sitting there, 85 for 1 after the power play. Brian Lara must be sitting there going, why have they just put a poll up asking who's better, me or Kumar Sangakkara, when my team are 85 for 1 of the power play? Are you taking the piss? It was mad. Sanju Samson again showed the India selectors why they're morons. Yuzi Chahal, after, let's be fair, a relatively rough year for Chahal, showed that he'd gone away, tweaked a few things, had a slightly different approach. Unfortunately for SRH, it was new lineup, same shit. They were not at the races. All the hype about their great auction disappeared like a fart in the wind. Yes, they're missing some Saffers, sure, but they conceded so many in the power. The game was over by 5.5 overs into the game. The Royals decimated them. And Sudeep, I know you're the biggest Sunrisers fan, but mate, you got roiled.
I think there are some problems for Sunrisers, aren't there? I think we'd all agree, brilliant recruitment. I think that it was good. The team definitely shapes up better than it did last year. But you look at this, two things really stood out, and I think we need to talk about them both. One, I think the bowling might be a bit overrated. I think we're thinking of 2020 SRH bowling, 2019 SRH bowling. It didn't look very good. Didn't look like they were getting any wickets.
It's never going to look very good when Buttler, Jaiswal, and Samson are just on one, though, is it?
No. Well, I think there's reasons to believe that maybe we shouldn't expect Bhuvaneshwar Kumar to be as good as he used to be. I think we'll have games where he was. I think we'll have games where he, let's just call it what it was, bad. I mean, the power play, particularly the first 4 overs now, with the new Kookaburra ball, with the harder seam and it, jagging around a little bit, it should be prime time for bowlers like him. They were the worst team of all 10 teams. They were the worst team in the power play. Does not augur well. Like, they need to improve there. Second thing, they spent a lot of money on Harry Brook. And I think it's fair to say that Bazball just will not work in India. Like, which one of them do you want to take, Max? Go on, discuss.
I think rumours of Sunrisers' downfall are overrated and early, because it's just a day that happened that we sweep under the carpet. They were playing against the Rajasthan Royals, who are one of the big ticket teams who were expecting to go all the way, potentially. Last year's runners up. A bit of sound recruitment, and still got the core of the side that did so well. They and the three dangerous players up top all performed really well as well. Obviously, helped a bit by the bowling. At this point, I do want to level a little bit of criticism at Sanju Samson, because Jaiswal scored 54, Joss Butler scored 54, and Sanju Samson scored 55, and that's really annoying me. But that's very, very much a tangent. And this was a game where, two Saffers isn't going to make them with the side, but it's likely to make a difference. I think Aidan Markram, provides a useful position in that middle order of a bit of stability, and they were missing that. And I think it was just it was almost a free shot, if you will, for me this game. I don't think they'd have expected it to go this badly. I mean, you can't make no bones about it. It was an absolute disaster. They were dreadful and they got absolutely pounded. But if I were in that camp, I'd be saying, look, guys, forget about it. Brush this one under the carpet and just get on with the next few games, because this was, even if we put our strongest side out and played, really well, we might have lost it anyway, because you're coming up against probably the best team in the league, or at least, definitely the top three. So I'm not worrying too much. Bad day at the office. Move on. And also, Umran Malik's a finisher now, so that helps too.
Silver linings. I mean, the most thin of silver linings. But I think it's a big win for Rajasthan to go away. Ross, on your point about the power play, do you want the Crick Viz win percentage at the end of the power play?
Yeah, if they give Sunrisers 0%, that's more likely than
it was
what they gave.
86.5 after 6 overs of the match.
Mm-hmm. And the win percentage was just about higher than the power play.
Pre-match for Rajasthan, it started at 45 or 46% because they're away from home, and I guess you factor in the Sunrisers are supposed to be a good team. So in 6 overs, they added 40+% to their chance of winning. It's a good day out for Rajasthan by any stretch. I am worried about this bowling lineup though. I really am now for Sunrisers.
We do have to take into consideration that this is kind of their backup team, right? They're missing some frontline players.
I'm going to object to this.
Yeah,
I'm going to say Bhuvi, definitely not backup team. Natarajan, definitely not backup team. Umran Malik, definitely not backup team. Sundar, definitely not backup team. So there's one bowler. You're probably Fazalak Farooqi's coming out, and you're bringing in Jansen?
Marco Jansen. Yeah. Not got brilliant T20 stats, has he? Let's be fair.
He's all right in the power play. And he gets a bit more with the bat.
Yeah, maybe he upgrades the power play a little bit. I mean, I'm not sure. Fazalak Farooqi's allegedly a good death bowler. I always think, and maybe this is just bias, I always think that Afghan players get a little bit of a Rashid Khan boost to their reputation. I'm not 100%.
You're gonna have fisticuffs with Dan Weston after that comment.
Well, I just right, but I do
pay
think
to see that. Can we set it up?
I do think that players like him, players like Gurbaz, I'm not sure they're the best options on the market, but they have credibility because of Rashid Khan.
So
anyway,
what I struggled with,
tangent. But
I think that's fair. But what I struggled with here is that you've got Umran Malik. Umran Malik has gone for tens, but if you watch the game, they're ones where people literally have no idea where the ball's going, and it's literally hit the splice of the bat all over the keeper for 6 runs, right?
That happens to him quite a lot.
But why him going away from this game and only bowling 3 overs to me is a shocker.
Natarajan, the actual best bowler on the day, bowls 3 overs. That's Ugh.
Look, don't get me wrong. People like Washington Sundar. Don't put Washington Sundar into that mixer up in the power play against those batters. Like, just don't do it. Like, there was no. It goes, what is it, 19 that comes from his over? Like, that was just not smart cricket at all. And unfortunately for Boovey, like, people like Boovey's great. Like, I think Boovey will bounce back from this. He'll take a bunch of wickets. I don't think this is the end of Boovey, because what he does is pretty kind of boxed, right? But not bowling Natarajan his full quota, and not bowling Imran Malik. That is just shocking.
Yeah, I think the wheels came off, didn't they? Fair to say.
Yeah,
the wheels did come off. To go back to the sort of intro to this bit, because Rajasthan were pretty good. 54 of 22 for Butler.
Yeah.
The guy's a freak. The guy's an absolute freak.
Yeah. I mean, there are going to be days where that just happens because it's Josh Butler. Like, what do you do when you run into Josh Butler like that?
It's just that the shot that he plays just literally just off his legs to like the pacer coming in, and he doesn't even look like he's looking at it. You know, like Ronaldinho used to do no look passes.
What was that, fifth ball of the innings?
Yeah, and you're just like that ball's gone like 50 rows back, and he's literally just like, yeah, next, come on. Like, the guy is absolutely insane.
Getting back in the test side, that's what I say.
So in the chat, a couple of people have been asking around. I think Chris has been asking around Devdutt Padikal's role in this. It's a difficult one for Rajasthan, because we all believe that they should have put him back in the mixer. Yes, he's a good domestic kind of player, but do they really need another kind of opening batter? And he's sitting there at 4 in this lineup. I'm not really sure what he adds.
I thought they should have traded him for someone.
I think that would have been a much better decision.
He works in quite a lot of these teams. Like, there's a lot of teams. Punjab, for example, would absolutely love a little bit of this, and they could probably send something in the other direction in terms of a pacer, or I don't know, like one of their kind of weird all-rounders, or a pacer and one of their weird all-rounders. I mean, like, imagine Devdutt Padikal for Shah Rukh Khan and whoever's not going to get in the team because of the pace battery that PBKS have. Like, you'd probably feel okay with that if you were Rajasthan. Maybe they don't want it though.
No, but again, it's one game in. Like, we've absolutely decimated a team who were kind of coined to definitely be in the playoffs this year. Like, getting 200 as an opening, that's a statement win. Winning by 72 runs. That's pulled the opposition's trousers down. And Hetmeyer as well, Jack. I mean, we know you're not a big fan, but the guy can just do it. No, he's great.
I mean, it wasn't great today. Only 137 on the strike rate. I think Brook will bounce back as well. I mean, like, Brook, if you look at the stats, isn't the world's best against leg spin, and he'll have to work that out. And it might not even be this tournament where he does it, to be honest. Like, there are only 14 matches, but I think he does enough good stuff that you can assume that eventually it will come good. Right.
Yeah, and also Chahal's one of the best leg spinners going, especially in T20 cricket.
Yeah. He looked like he changed a couple of things, Chahal. He was bowling a little bit flatter, a little bit quicker. Like, he got found out a little bit towards the end of the IPL last year. And then, obviously has suffered with India a little bit. But he looked back on form here. He looked deadly.
We have a couple of questions in. A lot of them coming from people who like Mumbai or want to know about Mumbai. And specifically, what can they do if they release Rohit, Kishan and Green? So I'm using Daniel, Nav and a couple of others. I'm sort of condensing that question down into one to try and answer as many as possible. If they got rid of them next year, are there upgrades potentially available or not? Are they going to have to wait a while perhaps to get to a mega auction?
They got their mega auction wrong, didn't they? That
Big
was
time.
the problem. Retaining Rohit, and
Spunking
stuck with him for ages. Yeah. What do you do?
Well, I mean, the other thing,
you can only get what people put back in, basically, unless you get lucky with someone coming through who turns out to be mustard. So they've just got to try and muddle through. But it's franchise cricket, so they 3 years in the doldrums, and then they'll come back and they'll be back in business if they get it right.
I did a tweet about this and Mumbai, and people were like, "Oh, Mumbai scouting's so good, they'll work it out." And I was like, I'm not absolutely sure that's true. Like, and if it kind of was, they've got so little money in the bank because of all these mega contracts that like they can get outbid super easy. Like, it's really not hard at all for a team to.
If Rajasthan did decide that Devdutt Padikkal doesn't fit their team, then I would 100% be getting rid of Rohit and bringing in DDP.
That would be a good move. That could potentially help them out a little bit. Anything from the chat, Ross or Max?
Crick Lover highlights. We have to talk about Rao Chapati's review.
I will be honest.
Oh yeah, middling the ball to second slip and reviewing it. Yeah. What was he reviewing? A bump ball? That's my only thing I could possibly imagine that he was reviewing.
Was it a short ball? Because Dave Warner did review a bouncer.
No, it was sort of like a wide, very full that he tried to steer and sort of edged it straight to the slip, and it was yeah. Then the review was like, "Yep, there's a spike as the ball hits the bat in the middle of the bat." Good catch by Holden.
Umpiring this weekend. Not been brilliant.
I mean that, and Max and I talked about this at length. The time it takes to do this shit.
The wide no ball reviews are a joke.
Yeah,
aren't they?
I said in the previous show they were going to fucking ruin it, and they literally had.
Yeah,
they've got
guesswork. Total guesswork.
The first game this morning, it was a 75-run victory, and it took 4 hours to get to that. It was like, that's just not acceptable. There's not. If it is like, this is 12 and over off the last 5, and we're going to really think about each ball, and there's 5 wickets down, so the batter needs to concentrate and the bowler needs to concentrate, and it really could go either way. I don't necessarily mind if the game slows down, because it's difficult. You cannot be having 4-hour games that are won by a margin of 4 and over.
Yeah.
Anyway, need to keep on that.
Anything else? Thanks go out to Virat Kohli and Faf du Plessis for saving us half an hour.
Yeah. Anything else? Because we're up to an hour, and that is the length of our shows.
I think that there's been some great things opening up. I think some of the teams have showed a bit more intent. I think it was great to see Punjab kind of come out and probably play to the game plan that they probably should have played to last season. And I thought that was quite nice to see. There's some big question marks around how the likes of Kolkata and Mumbai actually fill some of those gaps in their side. But it's first game. It's first game. And the knee-jerk reactions is 100% what we're here for. So if you've got any more crazy comments, please leave them in the YouTube comments and we will respond to you, or interact with us on Twitter, because I want to see sackings come into this just like the Premier League. I want Sam Allardyce to be put in charge of one of these teams by the end of the season, but we'll see.
Cool. Right, we're back on Wednesday, and then we'll be back on Friday after that. Sign up to be a Patreon. Keep us in business. Cheerio.
Thanks for watching, everybody.